online or downloaded online.
Yeah.
And he said the interesting thing was that since he did that, the sales of his other books, that people soared.
Yeah. Well, I did it all the time.
The Lord blessed it.
Put it in book form because people don't want to sit at the website.
Right.
They don't want to read off the monitor all day.
Right, so they buy the book.
Yeah, they can buy the book. And so that's the only reason I did it that way.
Oh.
That's...
Hey, we have to have something to read when we go into the bathroom.
Yeah, or if you're on a long airplane flight or something, somebody actually leaves the house. You're a lawyer, you probably travel. I mean, I never leave the house.
Yeah.
I'm a mom of 4 kids, and I'm home.
Right.
And so reading the monitors all day is what I do. And so it doesn't bother me, but everybody else, a lot of people
I do both, but there's nothing that beats a book when you're sitting in the bathroom or laying in bed at night. Somehow the laptop does not replace a book.
So what I'd like to help you do that is if you don't already have it published, is help you get it published and get it back out there.
We'll do that.
I'll get
that to you. And my second book also, I think we'll just get that up there.
Yeah.
Planned Deception, the Staging of the New Age Messiah. People have been begging for that one. And
yeah, well, the Lord said, feed my people. And so most today's beast prophets are fleecing his people, and you've got the ones out here really trying to feed his people.
Yeah, we've got people out there trying to feed them, and then we've got those out there trying to fleece them.
Yeah.
And people need to be really delivered. It's kind of a fine line. And I don't want to be too judgmental because some of these ministries need to be financed, but sometimes we get into traps. I know there was a good ministry. They've done wonderful work, but there was a book, a fellow came out and claimed he had New Age Messiah identified. Well, the fellow was a fraud. And by miracle, I stumbled onto it, and we uncovered it. And the program that did some wonderful work, they asked me to do a radio interview, and they called to set it up, and then the fellow asked me, he said, are you going to mention Troy Lawrence in this book, New Age Messiah Identified? I said, well, I certainly could. And he said, well, I don't think you should for this reason. He said, first of all, I read the book myself, and I found it interesting. Secondly, he said, we sold approximately 1,000 copies of that book, and I said, well, David, I think that's 1,000 excellent reasons why you should tell people the truth. Any one of us could be taken in by a charlatan.
Yep.
It's certainly, I'm not immune. You may not be immune. But when we do make a mistake, then tell people.
Yeah.
Don't set ourselves up as some kind of a cult that makes no errors, never done anything wrong. Sometimes people can profit by our bad examples.
Yeah. Definitely.
But basically the excuse, and then we call another major end times ministry that does do a lot of send me $29.95 and I'll send you my prophetic video of the month. I don't want to say which ones. They were selling the same book, and we made a conference call to them on this, and we got this letter saying they had to sell books like this because it helped finance their ministry. Well, where's the trust in God?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the bottom line. Because what the Lord says, not to muzzle the ox. If you're being fed by somebody, then support them and donate to them. But we're talking about, which mansion I'm going to buy next, which Mercedes I'm going to buy next.
Right, and then the one I'm talking about that had to do that, I went by and there are 2 new Mercedes sitting out there on the drive.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, that's why not wait for your mansion when you get to heaven? How many people could be fed with the cost of 1 Mercedes?
Yeah, and how many of them are feeding the poor and opening up soup kitchens and clothing?
Exactly.
And visiting the homeless and the widowless and, following scriptural standards and guidelines.
Exactly.
And they don't, you could call any church in my area if you needed help, and they would, where they would send you to is the government or Catholic Charities.
Yeah.
And not one of these Protestant churches
has done a good job, but that's...
it's a mess.
Yeah, but when James said, well, if your brother is cold, don't say, well, keep warm. Your brother says, I'm hungry, well, be fed well and don't do anything on it yourself.
Yeah.
We need to do something, and the day is going to come when Jesus is going to say, I was hungry and you gave me to eat, and, oh, Lord, when did we ever give you to eat? I was hungry and you gave me not to eat. Well, when did we ever see you not hungry? And he said, as you failed to do it to the least of my brethren, you failed to do it unto me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those are just, Jesus said, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, all thy soul, and all thy mind, and love thy neighbor as thyself. And I tell people, I said, I think many liberals I've met have forgotten the first part of that equation. Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, all thy soul, and thy mind. Many of them don't acknowledge God exists. And too many conservatives I've met have forgotten the second part of that equation, and they were both important to God.
Well, Constance, we have about a couple minutes left. Do you have any parting thoughts? I'm going to wrap up the second hour here.
We're in some interesting times. I think people should need to be made aware. I don't think we have forever to make our peace with God. And I think that people need to be praying daily for discernment at this point, keeping their eyes wide open. I think many of us are very blissfully unaware of what is happening, and I think that the end may be closer than people think. On the other hand, it could be a long way away, but our own personal end comes whenever the Lord says our time is up, so I guess the motto is be ready.
And do you have a news list or email list or anything that you
people can email me, Cumbey@yahoo.com.
Cumbey at Yahoo. That's Cumbey.
B-E-Y.
At yahoo.com.
Yes. Be really happy to answer the emails.
And what I'll do is I'll put what information I have on you on my site at the Sherry Talk Radio site.
Fantastic, and you're doing a great job, Sherry.
So people can find you. Well, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for being my guest tonight.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, thank you.
Okay, bye now.
Bye-bye. Folks, that wraps up this show. I hope you were as blessed with it as I am with Constance Cumbey. What an icon in getting the church awoken up about the New Age nightmare entering our churches. She's been at it for over 20 years, and just truly blessed having her here. I'll have her information on my website at SherryTalkRadio.com so you can get her book. Truly one of the biggest starters in waking the churches up from wherever it came from. A lot of my information, Tex Mars, Johanna Michelson, everybody getting information off Constance Cumbey. She's done a great service for the Lord. Be back next week, 8 o'clock. See you then. God bless everybody. Have a good week.
Lord knows where we'd be when it comes to heroes, renegades of mine. We railed against the crowd, another ragtag band declaring independence. Laid their bodies down on a bloody war, and liberty for their descendants. Thanks to the renegades, free today. Thanks to the renegades, free today. Thank God for the renegades and the life they lead. Far ahead of their time. Without the renegades, Lord knows where we'd be. When it comes to heroes, renegades are mine. Around the renegades in the world today, through all the renegades in the world today. Thank God for the renegades and the life they lead far ahead of their time. Without the renegades, Lord knows where we'd be. When it comes to heroes, renegades are mine. When it comes to heroes, renegades are mine.